Hello and welcome to the TAMGeF installation and maintenance video. For this project, the required software is Visual Studio 2013, Qt 5.4.1 with OpenGL, Qt Visual Studio Add-in 1.2.4, and the Yay Space software suite and drivers. For the first three things on the list that we just saw, the previous TAM installation video covers all of that. Of course, there is a slight exception. The Qt version should be OpenGL instead of the regular Qt version. One of the things that previous video doesn't cover is how to install gyroscope drivers and how to install the gyroscope visualizer. Those will be covered in this video. The previous TAM installation video, as I just mentioned, requires the Qt OpenGL version. I have included here a link for you to download the Qt OpenGL version, as well as the two options that are required depending on your architecture. Choose these during the installation video and continue normally. Here is a link to the previous TAM installation guide, which will cover how to install Visual Studio, Qt, and the Qt add-in. However, please make sure to review that you need to do the Qt OpenGL version instead of the Qt regular version. That will be the only change necessary for that video. For the new TAM gyroscope visualizer, we will need to install the Yay gyroscope drivers, as well as the gyroscope visualizer. All of this will be covered now in a video following these slides. After having followed the video that I linked to the previous installation guide of the TAM framework, you are now ready to begin installing the latest version of the TAM framework and the newly installed gyroscope visualizer. First, grab the GitHub link that is provided to you by your professor or mentor and go to that website. When you're at the GitHub page, for quick access and installation, let's go ahead and download the zip file of the project. This may take a moment, as it is a large project. Once this is done, let's go ahead and exit out of here and go to the multi-touch framework that we just downloaded. Once we've extracted the framework, we can begin exploring and see what's inside. We see here the code section, the documents, posters, and presentation slides, as well as the video links. We are only interested here in the code section. If you follow the instructions in the previous video, then you'll be ready to completely open up the TAM visualizer without any further modification. This will give you access to the multi-touch visualizer. However, if you plan to install the TAM gyroscope visualizer, you will need to go through a few extra steps to ensure that it is properly installed. Let's go ahead and say we want to open up this one. We first need to install the SDK for the TAM gyroscope visualizer. We'll go here to our browser and make our way to Yay Technology. Once on the main page of Yay Technology, we're going to need to download the drivers necessary for the gyroscope. We'll go here, 3-space downloads, and find the software suite and drivers. Here you'll see the sensor suite for the gyroscope. If we scroll down, we notice that we have a download section along with a download of the sensor suite installer for Windows. And let's wait until that finishes up before proceeding with the installation guide. Just to speed things up, I've skipped the download of this, and now we can continue with installing the drivers. Let us now go to the Yay setup run it. Make sure you allow the drivers to be installed. This will install 3-space sensor on your computer. Designate the folder you'd like it to be installed in, create a shortcut, and install the 3-space suite. That is it. You may proceed to viewing the 3-space sensor suite. Go to your programs and find the suite. Here you should see the gyroscope visualizer that Yay provides. If you can see this, then the drivers have most likely successfully installed. We may now proceed to putting our project into Visual Studio. Visual Studio should be set up in accordance to the previous video. You should have Visual Studio 2013 along with Qt5 and the Qt5 add-in for Visual Studio. Now we can open up a project. Let's open up the gyroscope visualizer that we just downloaded. We go here to our multi-touch and mid-air framework master. Then we will go to Code and find the TAM Gyroscope Visualizer. Now we have some folders inside of here. We want to go to the Gyroscope Visualizer folder. This contains the solution for the Visual Studio 2013 project. Let's open this. Here you will see the entire project. Before we begin building the project, first let's make sure that Qt is properly set up. Go to the Qt project settings and make sure that the version is the MSVC 2013 OpenGL. When this is done, go to Qt modules and make sure that OpenGL is checked off. Press OK and go back to Qt5. Check the Qt options and make sure that MSVC 2013 OpenGL is set as your default Qt version. With this, we are done. Now, let us build the solution. And once this is built, we should be able to run the gyroscope visualizer. However, there will be a slight issue, and I will describe that issue right now once the build completes, which again may take a while just because it's such a large project. Now that the build has completed, we are ready to begin debugging. Let's run the program. Here we have the issue I was talking about. Your program cannot start because the 3-space API.dll is missing from your computer. Try reinstalling the program to fix the problem. This will not be necessary. Since you've already installed the 3-space driver suite, you already have all the drivers, but you are missing the API. I have included the API within the project folder you just downloaded. So let's go back to Code. Let's go to the TAM Gyroscope Visualizer. Let's go to Gyroscope Visualizer. And here now, where the solution is, we'll also go further in to another folder called Gyroscope Visualizer. And here we see the 3-space API that I mentioned. I've included it in the project so that it's easy to start up. Let's go into this folder and find the 3-space API.dll. Copy that file and now go to your computer, your local C drive, and find where you have Qt installed. Go to the Qt version you have installed, find again the Qt version, find the OpenGL Qt version that you should have installed according to the previous video, and go to the binary folder. Here is the debug section that Qt has assigned for Visual Studios. We're going to go ahead and paste our 3-space API.dll into this folder and go back to Visual Studio and attempt to run the program one more time. We see that the program runs without an issue. It tells us the gyroscope hasn't been connected, and all you need to do now is connect the gyroscope. So let's try that with the gyroscope connected. Here we have the gyroscope connected, and it receives data properly. All the gauges are working, and the 3D visualization system is also working. With this, you will have set up the gyroscope visualizer and are ready to begin maintaining and adding to the project. Thank you for watching.